All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we are live on a
Mhm.
Sunday morning, ready to bring you some podcasting. We've been up early this weekend.
We do.
Did an 8 o'clock in the morning podcast yesterday, then a 10 o'clock in the morning podcast yesterday, and now we're bringing you a nut. So listen, get your coffee. Is what we're saying.
Yes.
Bringing you another episode early in the morning. Find us everywhere you get podcasts. The official weapon of the show is
Folding chair.
and the unofficial sport.
Ball.
And Bullet Ball Extreme. We're not alone. We have a guest.
Mm-mm.
If you're live on Crowdcast, you see we have a guest. If you're listening later, you probably see it in the show notes. Today's guest is a doctor, professor, a wellness educator, passionate about helping women, especially Black women, reclaim their health and wholeness. Welcome, the host of the award-winning podcast, Be Well Sis, Cassandra Dunbar. How you doing?
Good. Hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to meet you. First of all, like, how did you like make this path of deciding to be like, first of all, multi-hyphenate?
Come on through.
You know,
We be doing it all. I be telling people, I was like, if anything happening, another Black woman that is getting a degree, a certificate, or something somewhere, like you be like, what is you doing, sis? I'm getting more educated. Why? Because I don't know what Trump is doing, and I want to be sure I can get all the jobs. So he can create my own if he takes all the avenues away.
Okay.
So how'd you get on that path from like, was it like something you thought of as a kid? Was it a passion? Was it something, you just walked into later in life?
So I will tell you how I went into medicine. So when I was in high school, the only thing that I really enjoyed was the sciences. I had to do well because that was my mama's rule. Like, you don't bring no B's or C's home. So I did good in school, but the only thing I really liked and wanted to pursue in college was science. So then when I went to biology, I was like, I like people. I don't want to be in the lab. So I'm like, let me just try my hand at, medicine. And at the time, my auntie, she was battling breast cancer and I was her chemo buddy. So I was like, you know what? She had a really young, just really like, he really cared about her progress. So I'm like, you know what? I want to go into medicine. So that is how I ended up there. In terms of education, I've always been a teacher. If I know something, you got to know it too. Like, I'm not going to hoard this information. So that is how I got not transferred, but like kind of transitioned into education. And then podcasting, honestly, my therapist was just like, girl, what do you do for you? And I'm just like, what do you mean for me? She's just like, do something for yourself. And she's like, years ago, you had mentioned starting a podcast. Why don't you do that for self-care? She don't podcast, so she doesn't know that it's a lot of work, and I didn't know either. So I'm like, okay, I can get a mic. I got a laptop. I get a mic, and yeah, here we are 5 years later. There's like my whole like third jobs, my third baby. So yeah, that is how I got here.
What is more, I know this might sound silly, but what do you think is more challenging and more difficult? Going like that doctor route or doing podcasting? Because podcasting requires more technical and it requires almost like a different part of your brain.
Yes.
And I don't think people really understand the requirements are kind of different than not trying to find a normal 9 to 5 standard job.
Truly. Yep, you said it. I feel like I've always been like book smart. Like, if you give me a book, I will study it and I will learn it. Podcasting, it's always changing. I don't have the technical like know-how. I had to learn it. I'm not somebody who comes from like the radio space or from television, from media. So I had to learn all the things, right? And it's always changing. So it's not like the human body where we know 99.9% about it, right? The medium is always changing, the landscape is changing. So I find this to be the most difficult because once I feel like, ooh, I got it, it changes up. So
it's funny too that your therapist came up with the idea. Like, was it just like, girl, you being here talking, this is good, this is good stuff.
Good avenue for you. This need to be recorded.
You writing this down.
I don't need to be the only audience.
No, what happened was, so this was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I had my oldest, not my oldest, but my youngest baby. And it was a traumatic birth. And so he was in the NICU for a minute. And then when we finally brought him home, I was on eggshells. I was so scared that he would have a seizure or just something would go wrong. So even when I was supposed to be resting, I was literally staring at the baby. And then I had my oldest who was at the time 4. So I was trying to navigate being a parent to a toddler and a newborn who at the time had special needs. So when I was going to therapy, and I was telling her all the things, and she's just like, okay, so you have 2 kids, you're a wife, you have a mother who lives with you, and you're, starting to care for her too. So where are you in your equation, like, of the day, And I'm just like, like I do my thing and I go to bed, hopefully. And she's just like, you got to find something to do for yourself. And she's like, I had talked to her about possibly doing a podcast because I just started listening to podcasts at that time. And
Mm.
I was looking for wellness related stuff for Black women. And at the time, it was very few and far between. So she's like, how about you start a podcast? Just spend an hour a day just researching what it takes to put one together, and then maybe start interviewing women. And that way, that would be kind of your self care. So I found my first couple of guests and I spent time talking to them. And I was like, yeah, this feels good. And then I had to figure out how to, okay, now I recorded something. Now what? How do I edit it? And how
Put
do
it
people
out.
hear it? Right.
Right.
And that became
Yeah.
kind of like my saving grace in a way too, because I did get a chance to step away and not be mom, not be doctor, not be wife, just be Cassandra. So that's how I ended up podcasting.
Now, are you still like being a doctor too? Like, are you so like
No, I
is
don't
it
practice. No,
okay? So is the podcast like your full time
nope.
thing or
My full-time job is I'm a professor. So,
okay?
yeah, I teach pre-nursing and nursing students, anatomy and physiology, and sometimes pathophysiology as well. But that's my 9 to 5. I would
Okay.
love for podcasting to be my bread and butter, but not yet.
Yeah, is being a professor like any like does it have any overlap but with like podcasting? Because I mean, I'm imagining you have to speak to classes and stuff like that as well. Is there anything that crosses over there?
In a way, I feel like being a podcaster has helped me to become a better professor in a way because I really want my students to be engaged. So, the way that I've learned to be engaging for an audience, I bring that into my classroom too. So, because I know anatomy and physiology could be really heavy and like, girl, what are you talking about? So now I like bring some personality into it. And I think that's something that I've had to cultivate being a podcaster. Um, yeah, that's how I think it kind of crosses over a bit, but we don't talk about the same things. It's
Right.
very technical in my classroom, and on the podcast, I might teach a little bit, but I keep it really light because that's not what people signed up for.
That's true. What is it that made you decide I need therapy? Because I know for a lot of people, that's a very tough decision to make, specifically if you were not brought up and raised into therapy. I know a lot of religions, and things like that. They like Jesus can work it out, pray it away.
Yep.
But why can't Jesus take the hand of the therapist and take my hand and we all work this a 3-way thing? You know what I'm saying? So what made you
Okay.
make that decision?
I was really going through it because let me go back. So while I was in medical school, they had a therapist like on staff for us to have free therapy. It was part of our tuition. And I was like nervous, like, no, because to your point, I grew up in the church and like, no, you take it to Jesus.
Right.
So, but I was really going through it because my auntie, who I was her chemo buddy, she had passed away. And I was just grieving. Plus, I was like, the rigor of medical school was like more than I had bargained for. So I finally went and saw the therapist. It wasn't a good fit. So we didn't last. But fast forward years later, after I had my second son and was experiencing all of that, the reason why I went back, I missed a step. Hold on. I went to therapy before I even got pregnant with my second son because we had lost
Oh.
my mother-in-law. Yes.
Mm.
And so I was trying to figure out how can I help my husband grieve? And that's why I went to therapy. My therapist was just like, okay, that's great. But she's like, there's some stuff going on with you too. So I stayed in therapy from there. And to your point about, the church and things like that, I always felt the same way that you feel. Like my mom was so against the idea of me going to therapy, but I'm just like, if I broke my leg or if you broke your leg,
You
we
go
would
to the
go.
doctor.
Hello,
Right.
hello. So there are people who have special gifts and talents and education to help us with the unseen wounds. Why not give it a try? So
Mm.
that's
And I
where,
feel, and maybe it's just me, and when I talk to people, I go, this is their job. Their whole job is studying emotions and the brains and the way we interact. Like this is their job.
Yep.
And the thing is, if you're having problems, like you say, if my pipe is broke, I go to the plumber. Like I go to the professionals, and this is their job. And the thing is, I think when it comes to therapy, people hear the words and people dip in and out of therapy. They don't actually stick with it like they should.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with therapy, it causes people to do a lot of inside searching, and people are very frightened of that. So it makes them panic and quit.
Yep. Yep. It's
I think
uncomfortable.
Yes, it
yeah, I
is.
think also like there's it's intimidating when you first start that journey because it's like it's a thing people throw at each other like therapy, even sometimes it's an insult like you need therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
And not necessarily about wellness all the time to people, but also like you got to go to your insurance. You got to find out who's in your area, who got coverage, who's got availability. As you said, sometimes you don't match right away. You got to you might have to do a little more research or find 2-3 therapists before you find the one that fits for you. I think that's a lot of it as well too. And I also think we're having so much like mental health crises and mental health like spikes in our just in the last 20 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a lot of normalization of it, like sometimes you'll see people where for example, if you say man, my boss told me blank, and you go to Twitter to tell that, right? Twitter don't know you, Twitter don't know your boss, Twitter don't know your job. But a lot of times it's just like whatever you say, yeah. As opposed to like sometimes, a therapist may sit down and be like, actually, let's go through these exercises so that this is how you navigate this situation in a more healthy manner. As opposed, like we see this with medical stuff all the time. My favorite episode of I May Destroy You was one where she went to the doctor with her friend, the main character, and the doctor, she's a black woman. The doctor's Indian man, and he's like, okay, so you're having anxiety and your blood pressure is spiking, and this like, have you thought about maybe backing off of the internet? She was like a heavily internet person for social media. She's like an influencer, and he's like, because Afro-Caribbean people have like a higher propensity to have high blood pressure and can have adverse effect on your long-term health.
Mm-hmm.
And her friend in the show is like, F this doctor, you need to get a new doctor. He don't know what he's talking about. This is racist that he is bringing this up. And obviously it's a fictionalized story, but it did remind me of the internet sometimes, where it can be like whatever soothes you in this moment is more important than like a long-term thing. If I was your family, if I was your doctor, I may have different advice for you, or I may have to tell you some tough love stuff that you don't want to hear. So I guess what I'm saying is, do you see or feel that effect, whether in the podcast or just life, of this kind of like almost, I don't know, it's almost like we're normalizing unhealthy stuff.
Yes.
And lionizing it when, therapy is hard because it is constant work, and you're not going to come out of that with
consistent
work.
work.
Consistent. And it's going to feel good immediately. You may have to work towards something to feel good.
Yeah. And also I think that for some people, when it comes to therapy, they think it's an end process. You know how normally everything else, you get to the end and then everything just stops. But they fail to realize you live a life, and life continues until you take your last breath. Yeah. So you're going to continue to have your ups and downs and your all arounds because you're living. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a very difficult thing for people to process, that, hey, this is an ongoing thing. I might fail, but I'm going to keep trying and going to keep pushing and going to keep improving type of process. And because it doesn't have an end, I think sometimes that might frighten people.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like I was one of those people that was frightened too, because I was in it, like, let's say this year 2, because I've been in therapy on and off for years now. By year 2, I'm just like, okay, I am tired of like unearthing these wounds, things that I've spent years suppressing. Right. I don't want to talk about it. Like, I put it down there for a reason, because it's painful. And having to process, to your point, Rod, even my part in some things that hurt me, like, I'm like, I can't do this. So I will say this. I have taken breaks, and I've also changed the type of therapy that I've had too. Cause I think of it as like the gym, like we have to, or just exercising our bodies. Because we're on this planet, we have to constantly be putting in the work to make sure that our bodies are functioning, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes kickboxing might be what I do for like 6 months, and I get over it, and I might do yoga. Then I get over that, then I might just do walking. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just to keep things. I'm still working, but I'm working differently. I think it's still going to bring good results. And in terms of the internet and stuff, yeah, I love it and I hate it because we like echo chambers, we like yes men,
Mhm.
and we don't accountability doesn't feel good,
Mhm.
so and that therapist, if you find a good one that really is invested in what they do and invested in your success, they're gonna hold that mirror up. And sometimes it's not pretty.
Yeah.
So it's easier to hop online and be like, and let me tell you what happened. And the people like, yes, and you were right, sis. So
Right. Yeah, it's
yeah.
tough because like your podcast is named "Be Well, Sis," which it kind of is a certain level of affirmation in the title, like and I think um but wellness is different for different people. Wellness
Mhm.
is, it's so it's just interesting because I think what some people see is like positivity and is just constant enduring affirmation, like no matter what you're doing. And it's different. Like for me, one of the things when I was going to therapy, one of the big things for me was like my self-confidence and self-worth and stuff. And just so like those I went thinking, oh, I'm gonna go in here, it's about my anxiety or it's about this. But like, within a few meetings, it was like I was working on stuff like, body image and,
Mhm.
stuff that I didn't think walking in.
Yep.
But I think with us having a prevalence of like mental health, jargon and so many different avenues, people almost diagnose themselves and then they
Yep.
and then you walk around with your self-diagnosis and saying this is what's happening and this is why everyone's wrong and I'm the protagonist in everyone's story or whatever, as opposed to just getting in there and maybe having to hear some tough things, or maybe not even necessarily tough, but just hearing some stuff that you weren't expecting.
Mhm.
So like, do you see that in just like the social media sphere of like what support looks like in the social media sphere versus what support looks like in life?
Mhm. For sure, there's a huge difference. Um, in life, so support and real love looks like being honest. Like having all of the story and being honest. So like my best friend, I know she loves me down, I love her down, but if she'll be like, girl, like come on. Like, be
Right.
for real. Like, this is a little on you in this situation. And I know she loves me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Online, if there's any a little bit of accountability, it's like, well, y'all are hating and yada yada yada. I hate to bring this up. I'm gonna bring it up.
Mhm.
Last week with the Tabitha Brown
Mhm.
situation, I feel you guys know what I'm talking about with she
So I think
mentioned
she did a what does she do, like Instagram live or something? I forget what they call them, but she
I,
did a thing where she talked about entrepreneurship and she was like, hey, so this is entrepreneurship isn't necessarily this straight line. It's not necessarily going to work out for everybody, where it's your full-time gig. You may have to go back. You may have to take that job that people are telling you, you're not failing. The job is going to help support you through this dream to get to your entrepreneur goal or whatever. That's what it felt like she was saying to me. I watched the
yeah.
internet melt down over it. I thought it was a little overdone.
I think like this, the words 100% spot on. For
Right.
me, it was the tone. It was
Mm,
for me, it was very nice, nasty. Like the
mm,
words were completely fine. Yes, I understood the message, but
right.
coming at a time where we're seeing articles and statistics come out that I think 300,000 Black women lost their jobs in the past several
Right.
months, like, and the Black
Woo.
community is, yeah, it's a ridiculous amount.
Right.
Um, it seems like this administration is retaliating against
Mm,
us for, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people I've been seeing are turning to entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
not because they necessarily want to, because they have to, you know.
Right.
So I feel like the timing was a little bit off. And again, I feel like it was the tone. It's not what she said; it was how
Mhm.
she said it. So I disagree with the people who are really going in and being disrespectful in how they were expressing themselves about the
Right.
situation. But I think as somebody with such a large platform, if I'm getting a lot of backlash for what I think is benign, maybe I should like examine how I said it, you
Mm.
know? Because again,
I think it's
the words are right.
I think it's tough because like I'm reading this book. It's called Digital Madness. And it's about social media and how it's affecting our mental health. And one of the things that I think I can't stop seeing this pattern, and which is why I started reading the book, because I can't stop seeing this pattern for years now. The algorithms and the companies, it's much easier for them to make us mad than it is
Yeah.
for any other emotion.
Yes.
So they present certain things in a way that generates anger, and also it it incentivizes us, me, you, Karen, to also incentivize anger. Like we
Mhm.
like if I want to get a lot of retweets and clicks, it's easier for me to be like, I'm mad about this than it is to be like, here's a funny thing that happened, because it just won't generate as much, unfortunately. And we know for a fact that they've done this. Facebook got caught basically literally uh trying to make people depressed and angry, and seeing how much it affected their interaction and staying online and scrolling. So anyway, I say all that to say, when I saw her comments, I understood in the context she was trying to say, which is like, because she wasn't saying if you're looking for a job or go get a job if you don't. She was saying if you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling,
Mhm.
you're not failing if you got to go back to the job
Workforce.
market,
Yeah.
which is, as an entrepreneur who has struggled, it is a message that some people will need to hear. The
Mhm.
problem is when you're that big and in an environment where everyone is like, like we're burning down this person today, it's there's no way to reach everyone in a way that will obviously help everyone. Someone's going to hear that message and be affirmed. Someone else is going to hear that same message and be like, attack. I don't necessarily think those two things are correlated, meaning 300,000 black women being fired by this administration versus Tabitha being like, y'all go get a job. I don't think those are correlated, but I think timing wise and on our internet environment, we will correlate them even if it's not. So like if she was giving that same speech on a panel somewhere, we'd be like, oh, it's an entrepreneur panel and she's just talking to entrepreneurs, which kind of sounded like that's what she was doing. But on the internet, everything goes out to everybody. There's no
Mhm.
parsing. So
Mhm.
me, person that just lost my job, I'm like, F Tabitha Brown. I don't appreciate it. And of course, this is the other pitfall of just all this stuff. In a place, she comes from a place where her job is kind of giving advice, affirmation. That's what she came on the scene as. I still remember everybody loving her because like the first time they saw her on TikTok and it was like, "Hey, my babies,
Right.
it's gonna be okay. I know it's."
Right.
And now like it's been years. She's out of this is gonna be okay. It's like she got to come up with new content. She's a content creator now, so now it is. This is how this job thing works. This is how relationships work. And yeah, you're gonna piss people off giving advice in general, just because everybody advice ain't for everyone. But I mostly was moved at or disturbed, I guess, by how angry certain factions got at her, because I feel like that's the currency of our social media for the most part. It won't be her tomorrow,
No, it will
but
not.
it'll be somebody. Somebody gonna piss
Yeah.
somebody off tomorrow, and we're
Yeah.
gonna spend all day online being like, Young Thug. Let me tell you why he got to go down. It's like I don't know nothing about Young Thug. I don't really care. Can I move on from this?
Right. My rule for social media is 24 to 48 hours. Will you care within 24 to 48 hours? If you don't, it is not that important. For a lot of that anger, like this is my own personal rule because I've been on the internet and I watch things long enough and I watch things flow. And what I realized The internet has to always have something to consume. If she would have said this at a time where something else broke, nobody would have cared about anything she had to say. But there was nothing else going on at the time. Not trying to make fun of this timing when she did the video. So everybody looking around, angry, mad, bitter, hurt, trying to figure out, don't know what's going on in their world. So they're looking for something to burn down, and she just happened to be the victim.
And her audience is Black women for the most
Yes.
part. So you got
Right.
people that are going like that have been laid off. You got people that have been affected
Right.
that are mentally are struggling through like
Right.
all
This
this
time.
like targeting that
Yes.
is happening
Mhm.
specific to
Mhm.
them, especially in the government. Like it's more of a, to me, it's more of a like I can see how this would go wrong thing.
Yes,
It,
I
like
can.
like
Yes.
if she showed me the video first and was like, I'm about to post this, I'd be like, maybe not today. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Be more
Like
aware of
like
what's happening
yeah,
around you.
like
Yes.
Yes.
obviously, like because two things are happening. Like I agree with you, Cassandra, in that this is very predictable that people would be mad. This is
Yeah.
very like
Yes.
this is not a like this is not a what thing like that. Like I immediately saw the videos, like I see how people got there. But also at the same time, I feel like that message isn't wrong. It's just if she would have put the message out 6 months ago, maybe you don't get as much of a pushback.
Yeah, people would have still been mad, but
If
it
you
would
put it
have
out
been different.
6
Yes.
months in the future, maybe people don't get as much pushback.
Right.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think, but I think the
Timing.
most important thing,
Yes.
but I think the most consistent thing on all this is that there is a culture of anger,
Yes.
and that
Mhm.
whether she says that or not, that anger will be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and we're just getting angrier and angrier and looking for more fuel, which I think, you know, can be scary as a content creator sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not that
Mhm.
scared at this point, but it just in general, like being a podcaster, being a person that gives your public opinion, that has guests on and you're talking about things, do you ever think about like the pushback, the timing? Because, you know, I could also see, you know,
Mhm.
once again, I'm not assuming Tabitha meant anything negative. I'm
Right. Like that's
Yeah.
my
just
assumption.
like she
Mhm.
may not have seen this coming because she don't really be on the internet with
Right.
us
Right.
commenting all the time. So maybe
Right. she might have a separate life, and that's the
she
thing.
might have
Sometimes
posted
it's a
she might have
disconnect.
posted that, went about her day, popped up and was like, oh, you know, everything's on fire.
Right.
But so like, do you ever worry about that putting out your own content?
Yeah, for sure. I always, my, like on social media, I don't have like a huge following, but because I care deeply about the people that I'm serving and what I understand people, what they're going through. You know what I mean? I may not be experiencing the same exact thing right now, but either A, I've been there, or B, I'm doing a lot of social listening to see what are the gripes and things. And if I talk about this in this way, am I pouring salt on an open wound? Like that's really important, especially when I talk about wellness, right? And I really want it to be a positive, not like toxically positive, but I want you to leave my podcast feeling a little bit better about your day or about yourself or about your situation. So I asked myself several times, like, is this content going to serve any of those purposes? And if not, I don't need to post it. I don't need to talk about it, you know? So maybe I think I'm also an overthinker. Maybe I think too much about
too.
that, but
Do you-
yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Do you feel like, maybe this is just me, do you feel like sometimes that can be very restrictive? Because one thing about being creative, a part of being creative is just going wherever you go, wherever you go. Like there's no rules, there's no roles. You just like, I'm stretching out there. And sometimes the audience don't know what they want until they hear it.
True.
Like sometimes the audience thinks they know what they want, but sometimes they get something and they be like, I didn't know I need this, or I didn't know I wanted this. So a lot of times, maybe just me, when people put restrictions on, should I say this or should I say that? Sometimes that's hard because you don't want to make people mad, but you also want to be true to yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree with you 1,000%. I do. And I also feel like I think me as a person just outside of, you know, creating content, that's how I am. Like, let's just say me and you got into a disagreement. I'm going to be quiet for so long, processing, like trying to see from your perspective how I could have messed up or whatever before I say anything, because once I say it, it's already out there, you know?
Right.
So I think just as a person, I take a lot of care with what I say. So yes, it can be restrictive, but I've 99.9% of the time, I'm happy that I didn't say or I didn't act on what I was
Right.
feeling like in that moment, you know. But
Right.
yeah, but it is kind of restrictive, but that's me as a person.
Yeah, I know with me, I'm also a huge overthinker, and I can get suffer from like paralysis of analysis, where it's like I'm thinking like for me, the last couple years, I got a physical trainer and started going to the gym and doing all like learning how to lift weights and stuff I hadn't done since high school, and but one of the reasons I hadn't done it since high school is because I was literally over analyzing everything. I was
Mhm.
overthinking. It was definitely anxiety talking. I would be like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm not gonna know how to do the gym stuff. They're gonna look at me. I'm thinking about like stuff you see on social media, like
Yeah, yeah, that frightens me.
memes of people that are like doing lifting the weights wrong,
Wrong.
and people are like, "Look at this guy, he's doing the machine backwards," and I'm like, it looked like he was doing it right to me. I don't know,
Right.
but like I went, much like we talk about getting a therapist, you're going to your doctor. I got a trainer, I got a nutritionist, so like I had some people that had expertise, and a lot of stuff that they were teaching me was giving me like confidence and little knowledge and know-how. Now, like I'll never walk in a gym again and not know how to do something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
like I might not know how to do everything, but I'll never have to be like, man, I can't go in that gym. I don't even know where to start. And I think that's like a big part of like the journey is getting people along the way that can help because we 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 substituted a lot of social media for real life interactions with people. And it's not that social media can't be positive. I mean, I've had so many positive interactions with people with social media,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a difference between, like you said, your friend who's like, now Cassandra, don't put that video out telling people go get a job because this ain't the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe Tab could have used that. You know what I
Because
mean?
they care, right?
Yeah. So like I feel like that's something that we're missing is that level of connection in real life that like can kind of hedge off a lot of this stuff at the past.
Yep. Yep. I agree. The internet, like you said, is a great place, but nothing really beats in-person community, you know?
Right.
It's so important. I feel like also we don't know how to have healthy conflict too. Like, because
Yeah, true.
people could have come online and said, I don't agree with how Tab said whatever in a
Right.
respectful manner. And people just got really
Yeah,
ugly.
that's the
And that
hardest
wasn't
part.
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah.
That one quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back to you, Karen. That's one of the hardest things for people to understand when we're mad at somebody is that that person's still a person, and
Yep.
so what makes it through the wall of like Tabitha Brown's mind is probably going to be the more disrespectful, heated comments because she's human too. She's
Yeah.
like 900 people could be like, "This ain't it," and then one person is like calling her slurs and names. That one person, because if you've been on the internet long enough, you've been on both sides of that. For some reason, that's the people that get you, and then that becomes everybody. Like your brain is like, everyone's attacking me. They all want to
Yeah.
destroy me. So it's once again the medium of social media doesn't really foster healthy conversations as much as it was pitched as. Like 15
Mhm.
years ago, they was lying to it.
Uh-huh.
They were like, "Yeah, everyone's gonna be friends, and
Mm-hmm.
you can meet someone from across the world, and it's gonna be." And now we're just like, you log on and you feel like Troy with the pizza box on Community, and everything's
Everything's
on
on
fire,
fire.
and you're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna back out." So I think that's a part that is forgotten a lot of times is that like while me, you, and Karen, if we were talking to Tab, we'd be extremely respectful and be like, "Hey, there's a little bad time in there, right? Yeah, it be happening sometimes." The ones that gonna hit her are gonna be the ones that are probably the most like and with the most animosity. So it's already gonna create a disconnect where we're not having a conversation between reasonable people. We're gonna have extreme conversation. Now, she's a
Yeah.
veteran of the internet. More than likely, she's smart enough not to hop on in the throes of like defensiveness, which is what a lot of amateur internet people do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I say that as a person that's done that. Like that first time when you get that hot flash, you like, oh, you ain't gonna talk, and you be out there saying stuff that's making it way worse.
Mm-hmm.
She probably won't escalate the situation because she's been in the eye of the storm a few times at this point, but that's how it happens where it spirals into worse and worse results. Karen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and also I think my thing is to kind of piggyback on what you're doing because everybody is a human being unless it's a robot. Everybody's projecting. The
Mhm.
people that are attacking are projecting wounds. That how would she know that this is your wound? How would she know you lost your job? Like how would she know that you're being impacted by this? Because she doesn't personally know you,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
And also she's projecting, you know, like she's seeing things and she's saying things based off of interactions that she may have had. And so when you have two people projecting, that's when, like I say, you need to get to the nuance and actually have a realistic conversation. But this platform is not designed for that. It's, oh,
Mhm.
I don't 100% agree with you. So because I don't 100% agree with you, I must attack you, and I must attack you like it is a personal attack. It's one of these things where I had to realize on the internet, there's nothing wrong with being angry, but the situation has got to equal out the offense. And the reason why I
Mhm.
said is because if something happened and something is a two, it need to be treated like a two. If something
Yes.
is a one,
Right.
my response shouldn't be a 10.
Yeah.
And I think
We
that's the
have lost.
problem.
We
We
have
don't have
lost
that
that.
balance. And,
Yeah.
and so for
Yeah.
me on the internet, a lot of times I'm not on the internet as much as I used to be, because for me, maybe because I'm old, I'm like, bitch, you wouldn't say that to my motherfucking face.
And that's the truth. And that's the
Here.
truth. Right.
Like, and so I would instantly get mad and cuss you out, because I was like, if I could put hands on you, you wouldn't talk to me crazy. What is we doing here? I said, oh, Karen, this ain't the place for you. Get your ass off of here and go on outside and play a video game or work out or some shit.
I think also like yeah, that escalation, because um it flattens our communication, meaning um it's 0 or 10, as you said. There's very
Mhm.
few like in betweens.
Mhm.
And so like we've kind of lost in the language of the internet. We've lost the eye roll,
Yes.
you know?
Mhm.
Like
Like
a
to
Mhm.
lip smack.
yeah,
Mhm.
just to
Just
like
how.
like that was annoying, not the end of the world.
Right.
Not gonna
Keep
bring it up every time
scrolling.
you see,
Yeah,
but
bro.
yeah,
Right.
It's not gonna stop the world, right?
yeah, like
Right. Right.
I've really fought hard to return back to just my like, okay, and just move on, like
Mm-hmm.
to
Mhm.
have that, because I don't, like I don't want to constantly be angry and all that stuff. And then
Right.
the other thing too is when you're creating content all the time, you're gonna have some off days, dog.
You are.
It just
Yeah.
is. Like you're gonna have a
Amen.
couple. You're gonna have some days. One of the reasons on this show we don't do relationship advice. Everybody's like, y'all should do relationship advice. You've been married since y'all were kids. Y'all known each other since y'all was 16. Y'all did. Oh, you just we just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary. Give some advice. Give some advice. And I'll be like, no, I don't know you.
Nope. I
And
only know how to love Roderick.
but most importantly, people take shit so personal. I truly do not care. And I don't mean to be I'm not trying to be mean, but that's y'all relationship.
Right.
I want y'all to be happy, but like I can't possibly know everything. You write in with advice. Hey, what about this? You left something out.
Yes.
You did, the other person, they gonna read the same email you sent me and be like, that ain't what happened. Like, I don't know. I can only tell you a scenario. In this scenario, I'm really projecting. And I realized years ago that almost all advice on the internet, especially, it's just advice we give ourselves, right?
Yes.
What Tabitha Brown was really doing is talking to a young Tabitha Brown that was like, I'm about to give up on this entrepreneurship. Matter of fact, I always make this joke, but it's true in my opinion. 100% of those tweets that start with, I don't know who need to hear this, is you.
It's you.
It's
I realized that
it's
too.
just affirmation. You're affirming yourself. I don't know who need to hear this, but don't give up today. You still gonna make. I'm like, you needed to hear that from yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. You did write it on the internet. And you involved the rest of us, but still, that's is really it is. Anyway, that's how I try to look at it, so that I'm not like constantly absorbing people's shit. Is like,
Yeah.
Right.
why are you telling me what to do? I'm like, you probably really telling yourself what to do.
Right.
And you acted like you telling me. But that's part of what's happening there. How do you go about getting guests for your topics and coming up with topics? Because I noticed there's like a different topic every episode, different guest every episode. Like, is that something you're coordinating yourself? Are you just coming up with these ideas on your own? Are you out looking for people?
I I hate to say it, but I'm on the internet a lot. Like I'm scrolling. So if I find somebody who's talking about something that like is interesting, or I mean, at this point it's 5 years, and I'm starting to like feel like, okay, I done talked about all the wellness things. But if you have like a different perspective or a different whatever, I'm in your inbox. I'm finding your email, like, and inviting you onto the show. And also I've been talking to a lot of authors, so I have relationships with publishing companies. So if somebody has a book coming up, they'll reach out to me. If the book is aligned with my audience and what we talk about, yeah, I love to, because I'm a reader to begin with. And yeah, I feel like authors also have a lot to say about whatever they're talking about. So that's where I've been. Yeah, but I live on the internet. That's scary.
Yeah.
How do you filter that? Because with the internet, it is an eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You don't know what you're gonna get. Just because somebody sound like they got some common sense don't mean they're gonna have common sense when you press
I
play.
deep dive. I deep dive. I feel like I'm so nosy. Like if I become interested in you, I'm gonna find out about you. I will. If you've been on the internet for 7 years, I'm gonna get down to year one to see what's been going on, see your evolution and all of those things.
True.
Yeah. And then there's some situations too where if we have somebody in common, I might just ask the person we have in common, like, oh, what do you think about
Right.
such and such? Would they? How are they in terms of like being like the center of attention in a podcast and things like that.
Right.
So
Mhm.
do a little bit of vetting. And there's also times where what I thought I was gonna get, I didn't get, but it's the name of the game, you know?
Yeah, that's a part of the process. Yeah, because like you say, just the internet has changed over the years, and so many people are about brands now versus being kind of sincere about who they are. So that's why I asked you that question, because we've had guests over the years that we would not have on now, because like you
Yeah.
say, you realize like time will tell, like if people are unstable, like and things like that, or if they talk a good game, but they're not really trying to present that
Yeah,
reality in real life.
I think another thing for me is like I remember when I first learned about like narcissism and like the definition of it, the traits and all that stuff for mental health stuff. And I was like, man, everything in the like these are things that narcissists do is also things that make people really good at the internet. It doesn't mean everyone
Yeah.
who's really good at the internet is a narcissist, but like the idea of like shunning, the idea of blocking people, the idea of getting like your flying monkeys to attack people,
Under control.
and so like once I thought about that, I was like, man, maybe because we used to just have people on the podcast, we'd be like, oh, this person got 1 million followers, let's get them on the show. And it's like, I don't think that person's a good person. I think we should not have them on the show.
Yeah,
They're just really good at the internet, but they might be really good at the internet because they're already kind of like prone to internet behavior that would later become like more pronounced.
Yes.
And as you brought up, like going back to year one on people, it is wow, because you can watch people evolve into completely different people.
Yes,
where it's
you
like you started out on this and then you became this, and I think now is especially in light of our current administration and the people in charge of the country, you're seeing like people go back and forth into different brands. Like it was cool as hell to be an activist like 5 years ago.
Yes.
Like 8 years ago, everybody was active. Put it in the bio. I'm an activist. I'm out here. I'm activating people.
Even if you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, you was getting a bag for being an activist too.
Yes, you were a big bag.
Yes, it was an activist economy out here.
You were getting put on all the TV shows, all the radio shows. You was a guest spot on somebody's something.
But now that economy is kind of dried up, right? They don't want people on the news. They don't want to give you your radio show. They don't want you to write the book no more.
Obama left, and we was talking about that when Obama left. I said when Obama left, they're gonna be like, why we need all these black people? We ain't got no black president.
Well, so you had some of that, but also like you had after George Floyd, you had another resurgence of
that's true.
A lot of people getting jobs and bags and stuff off of it. And once again, I'm not knocking people for getting those bags.
Oh, no.
I just can't. I always have to re-emphasize this point every single time this comes up. We weren't asking for jobs.
No. We want you to stop killing us and treat us right.
Yeah,
with
so
respect. Yep.
Right. Like companies being like, we heard you, here's a stipend for people going to college. Is like not necessarily the same thing. We'll take it, but yeah, it's drying up now, right? Like even speaking of Tabitha Brown, Target, like watching
Right.
Target essentially be like, we're turning the faucet off for blackness and paying the cost for it.
Paying a big cost.
Yeah. But seeing that happen, I think it does. It changes people's brands, and I think you're so smart to research the people, because I feel like you can see that in a lot of people's arc of like, this was in at this point, so I was over here, then this was in, and I was over here. And it helps, I think, also to have like good questions to ask people. It helps, to be able to like see where their expertise lies. But yeah, sometimes the best thing it helps with is to know not to have a guest on the show, to be like, not you.
Yeah.
And there's been episodes that just have never seen light of day because the conversation was just not helpful to the audience, or it just, so I'm just like, well, we'll just shelf that. And
that's tough. That's tough. When you record an episode, you'd be like, I can't put this out.
Nah, yeah, can't do it. Can't do it.
How do you deal with people who come in with like bad quality sound and things like that? Because sometimes these people aren't professionals, so they might not have the mics, they might not have all the setups and things like that. Because I think one time we tried to have a guest on and the sound was so bad, I was like, babe, we can't do this. We just can't, because like people are gonna be listening to this, and they're not gonna want to hear all the crackles, all the pops, all the echoing that's happening right now.
Yep. So what I do is I send them like a quick little something about what they could use if they don't have, a mic and stuff. Just like the regular plug-in mic that you would plug into your iPhone, like that works great. Like I give them like a little cheat sheet of what to expect and what to have on hand. If we get to recording and it still is not great, I'm like, let's be flexible. We can reschedule for later, or because we want to like really best like frame you in your expertise, and the audience is like, the audience can't hear what you got to say if there's snap, crackle, and pop happening. So let's reschedule.
You were talking about having authors on and reading a lot. Have you written a book? Have you thought about writing a book? Something like that?
I've been sitting on a book. Like the book is like outlined, but I have not revisited. And I think part of it is like I'm making excuses. Like I'm like, I ain't got time and yada yada. I think I'm just scared. So that's on my to-do list. It's on my goal list. But as of right now, I don't have a book.
I also wonder, like, especially for books that are about like Black people, Black women, stuff like that. I wonder if this is a hard time to get published now, because there's such a backlash to it. Like, it's not even just a lack of interest. There's like a lot of animosity towards this, like the idea. Are you experiencing that also with the podcast?
Yes. So sad. Yes. I'm laughing to keep from crying, but I have seen a change in listener habits. I have seen a change in sponsorship opportunities big time. This year has been so dry. So sad. But yeah, there's a huge change. And honestly, when I started writing the book, it was middle of last year. I think it was last summer that I like really outlined this, started speaking to agents and things. And then when I saw what happened, I was like, let me just pause, because I don't like when DEI became like a dirty word. I'm just like, all right, let me just go ahead, because the book would absolutely be targeted towards Black women and Black people. So, let me just hold off, because I can't deal with any more heartbreak.
It's very tough out there right now. And it's, in ways that it's so needlessly like, once again, it would be different if it was almost like neutral.
Right.
But like there's like an anti movement.
I'm like you, let's be neutral, which means you don't leave one way or the other. You like, we support it all. I'm fine with that. Then you just blatantly
this isn't the capitalism we were promised, right? We
were
promised, like what we were promised was like, if you can make money doing it, no one cares. We'll just go ahead and do it.
Right.
And as bad as that can be for everybody, it was at least quote unquote equal, meaning like, look, we don't care if you're doing a racist book or a inclusive book. Whatever makes us money, we gonna do it. And now it's like, actually, even if you can make money,
we're willing to turn down dollars. And that's why I say racism and white supremacy is irrational and illogical. It will talk itself out of money. That's when I realized, okay, this is a whole nother level. It is a hell of a drug that I will never understand.
Nope. Heavy on the irrational, because I try to like make sense of it, and I'm just like, I'm wasting my time because it does not make sense.
That's why I don't. It goes, okay, that's what it does, and you just go, okay, you just look at the patterns.
I also like, have you felt or seen the effects post election on Black women's mental health specifically, because I definitely feel like Black women are a target under this administration, not just policy wise, but like personally, like they are going after Black women, like. And maybe, I have like a soft spot because obviously to me, Black women, backbone of the Democratic Party, backbone of the resistance to Trump, backbone of the resistance to conservatism in America. And so like Muriel Bowser, I think, who's the mayor of DC. I think that's the mayor of DC. She's going through it right now, like, because DC basically don't have rights as a city. Like, if what the federal government decides they can do there, which is why they keep doing stuff there, is you really don't have a pushback. You can go do a press conference and say you don't like it, but it won't change anything.
Right.
And so she's in a tough situation where I see people, they're like mad at her because like you're capitulating, you're cooperating. And sometimes, I think the city's actually suing the federal government. But it doesn't really matter because she don't really got the power to do it. And I can't help but have some level of like empathy for what she's going through, because I think it's just she's a Black woman in the most controllable city in America,
right?
In the most racist administration. Like they're trying to make an example of her, and there's no good way out that doesn't lead to the people of DC suffering, even if it's for her own ego. Like she could be like, I ain't with the shit. F this administration, y'all ain't gonna do me like this, and then they'll just keep cracking down hard. So I don't even know, like I don't know that there's anyway, it must have some effect on Black women's mental health right now in this moment.
Absolutely. People say that they're not into politics, but politics affects policy. Policy affects your everyday life, So if the policy is that now DEI is a dirty word, and now there's no funding being allocated to things that did fund, quote, DEI initiatives, everybody's suffering, right? So now if you lose your job, let's say, and in this current economy, this current job market, if you can't meet your basic daily things, like if you can't pay your rent, your mortgage, if you can't, it's back to school time, get your babies thing what they need to get back to school, like that's going to add an added load of stress, So, and on top of just dealing with the things that unfortunately we're used to dealing with as Black people, having all of that on top of it, we're going through it collectively, and even for those of us who are outside of DC or now Chicago, just watching and knowing what we know about how this country does things. Like yeah.
And what's wild when you was talking about people talking about they're not into politics, and what's wild is when you get a driver's license in your state and you drive, you're into it because guess what? Your state determines your speed. Your state determines how you get your license. If you buy a house, if you ride the bus, if you do anything within the jurisdiction of your county, somebody somewhere has made an executive decision with or without your input on what you do. So you might as well put 5 on it and be like, these are the things that I want.
That's right. I live in Charlotte, and Charlotte is a blue city in a sea of red. And because we voted so blue this past election, they were trying to withhold, I think it was maybe $1 billion from the school system. My kids go to public school, and even if my kids did not go to public school, the kids need what they need to learn. You know what I mean? So like it impacts us.
Yes, we are in Charlotte too, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We actually just early voted in our the Democratic primary.
Yes,
for, and I was like, first of all, less than 1,000 people at the time we had voted had voted.
Yeah,
so
less than 1,000.
Like right now, your vote count like 20 times more. Like
them people are so happy to see us. They were probably like, we ain't seen nobody in 3 hours. We got it was just me and singing now, but everybody's attention.
And in Charlotte, especially because it is so blue, this really is your only say. Like this moment right here of picking your like city council members and stuff. Because once it gets to the general, the Democratic people are going to win. Like there's not like except for the Myers Park area. We won't get on them. But other than them, the Democrats are going to win. And maybe even Myers Park, because I think Tariq Bakari was winning that seat by like 500 votes.
Yeah,
Like,
not by a lot.
Okay.
so like now he ain't
Mm.
running for it. He joined the Trump administration, then
Now
he
he had to
quit.
come back home.
But he
Mm.
can't run, and
Good.
we don't know if his wife can win the seat. So my point is, like, imagine you in the Myers Park area. You've been a Democrat. Y'all been losing this whole time. You get to the primary. This is your chance to pick the person that might beat the Republican for the first time in like 15 years. Your ass should be voting right now.
Mm.
This is
Yep.
your time. So
Yep.
it is hard for people to see. I think it's hard for people to see that as progress or resistance sometimes, but like that is resistance, that is progress, because a lot of times that's who you're gonna be fighting against. If let's say you're an activist, who do I want deciding when the police crack down on the street?
Right.
Do I want it to be the dude that's like, we need to get police more
Round 'em
guns
up.
and weapons? Or do I want the person that's like, police need to be community policing and getting to know people? Let me fight against that person. I want to play the game on easy. I don't want to play the game on all hard, all Madden, or whatever.
Yes.
How'd you come up with the title of the podcast, Be Well, Sis?
I wanted to be direct. I wanted it to like be like there's no guessing what this podcast about, you know? Like I want you to be well, and I'm talking to my sis. And at the time, sis was really just between Black women. Now sis has been like opened up a little bit. I don't know how I feel about that, but I felt like the title. Yeah, yep. So I felt like Be Well Sis was kind of like an affirmation. It was kind of like a call to action and all of those things. Yeah, it was like
cool.
short.
I feel like that I like the title. I feel like it works on like merch. I actually think even with the internet trying to steal Black people speak, even then I still like feel like when I saw the title of the podcast, I was like, I know this for Black women. Like I didn't like even after all that, I wasn't like, I don't know, this could be one of those millennial. I was like, no, this is for sisters. I like, and I think it's such a smart title because it's the kind of thing where you don't have to say it, but it's understood.
Right.
And I think that's like, I don't know. I feel like right now we're so going back to just community and like in talk to each other and getting ourselves through things. And I feel like this is a podcast of the time, even though I know you're about to get on 1 million downloads. You've been doing this for years, but you know, sometimes you can be grinding for years and it don't be your time until it's your time. I feel like this is a time for like, I know a lot of Black women especially are like, how do we be in community and support of each other? Where can I find spaces specifically for me? And I feel like your podcast is giving that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I appreciate this. It's sad, but it takes struggle and hard times, and ain't we lucky we got it before Black people realize that some Black people realize they need other Black people and they can't do this alone, you know, because, you know, some people, they think that money or status or education almost separates them out of the community. And what they fail to realize is that we all need each other. And at the end of the day, they look at you just like they look at me. And so I appreciate for the first time, depending on what generation you were raised up in. And, you know, we have kind of adapted a lot of the white supremacy part of individualization, because Black people used to be very, very heavy into community and into helping and raising and looking out for each other. And as the years is going on, which I understand, because it's one of the things where we want the best schools, the best education, so we start moving outside if you could afford to, which means you left people who couldn't in these areas. But the downside of that is the community was broken. And as people got older, as, like I said before, my dad and Paw dad, all these people who were enslaved began to die, a lot of their children kind of separated out. And so for me, I appreciate us coming back together. And people are going to start looking for avenues of community that they never thought that they knew. You know, I needed. I'm sorry, they never thought that they needed. So for the first time, somebody gonna be like, okay, I feel alone. I've lost my job. Or, you know, I want to get closer to my sisters or whatever to relate to Blackness.
That's definitely true. And I think it's a big reflection on society in general. Like, we're talking about Black people because we Black and we know our culture, but it's actually like everybody.
Yes.
Like everybody has become more individualized, especially after the pandemic, because so many of us went to the internet because we didn't have a choice. I'm not knocking that. We should have done that. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's hard to bring everyone back together from before, because now, I bring this up all the time with work from home. Work from home is dope, right?
Yes.
There's some benefits to work from home that are like awesome. It's definitely something. It's definitely an option, or like a quill, a quiver you want to have in your quill or whatever. But the consequences of work from home has also been like less community, no more interaction face to face,
right?
Less third spaces, because
less third spaces,
because work is a workspace, home is a home space. Now your home is kind of work, your work is kind of home. You're never leaving work. You know what I mean? And then like when you're out with other people, like that third space, whether it be like a gym, whether it be a park, whether it be the mall, a bar, so if I'm at work and I take a liking to somebody, I'm like, oh man, this dude Will, he's cool. What's the next thing we're gonna do? Hang out a place that's not my home and not work.
Yeah.
So we've kind of lost some social connection, and I do wonder if we're gonna be forced into, and I mean this hopefully as a positive.
Me too.
Forced into finding some connections with people again. Like to me, I know going to the gym has been big for me. And it's not even that I be in there like I'm not a social butterfly. Y'all know I'm an introvert.
You are not. To Roger put them headphones on and be going to town.
But like I noticed the last few times I've gone, there's people that like speak to me now. We've never had a conversation, but they like stop and speak and wave and greet me just because we've seen each other's faces enough. And it's a little thing, but I feel like we need that shit.
You do.
No, for sure. We're human. Like we're supposed to be tribal people. We're community people. We work together, And I'm also an introvert. So one thing that I challenged myself since last year was to get to know all the people on my block. I've been on this block for coming up on 6 years. And I just now know the names of everybody. I'll know your face and I'll know your baby's face, but I don't know the names until this year. I'm just like I had to do better. So just like the little things, like just your immediate environment to start. Cause I think a lot of people don't know their neighbors and things like that. And then our other spaces. Yeah.
You know what? You making me think it's this UPS man, and whenever me and Roger, we would go out and do something. I don't know if it was the timing on if he was coming in or coming out. He would always speak to us. And so one day we were coming in and he was going up the steps.
Oh, you talking about our neighbor?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you was talking about just a regular UPS man. I was like, I don't know UPS man.
No. He is a UPS man. The neighbor is.
Yeah. He always wearing that shirt. No, I got you now.
I'm sorry.
I'm with you.
So he would always catch us, and because I'm the extrovert, I speak to anybody, wave to anybody. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? I just want to make myself be known, type of thing, and to an extent, it's a defense mechanism that hey, I don't mean you no harm. And so, we were going out. He was coming up. He's like, oh, hey, how y'all doing? Haven't seen y'all in a while. Y'all must have changed up y'all routine. I thought about it. I was like, oh. Yeah. And so not trying to funny. I know that's not a big thing, but if something happened, when people federalize, or if it's an emergency and somebody knocks on your door, you might be like, they might be telling you the building on fire. You don't know.
Yeah.
I would say the nosy neighbor is actually extremely underrated.
I'm the nosy neighbor. Yeah. Like I know when the kids should get off the bus. If I don't see 3:15, I don't see kids walking. I'm like, what's going on?
Y'all out here doing y'all doing us a service. Okay, a lot of people don't respect the nosy neighbor. They talk bad about the nosy neighbor, but I'm telling y'all, nosy neighbors are clutch, because I watch a lot of true crime. Okay,
and they be knowing.
I watch a lot of true crime. I watch it be on TV One. I watch For My Man, Fatal Attraction, Payback, and the thing about them shows, man, they be struggling to solve the murder, but it always be somebody like, now her kids don't get out of school till 6, and I did see she got a gentleman caller that be coming by every once in a while, and I saw him this morning hiding in the bushes. You ain't heard it from me, and I'll be like, "Damn, it disappeared. She solved the case." Like, thank God she was peeking out them blinds.
And it be the anonymous person too to be giving them all the detail.
I'm just saying, clutch, dog. Be nosy a little bit, y'all.
I'm very nosy. If I have my elderly neighbors, I don't see them on their walk, I'm like, hold on, I haven't seen you 2 days. Yeah. What's going on? Are you good?
Okay.
Like, I didn't see your kids come by. Right. What's going on? Like, how can I help?
I was doing something, and one of the people in the community was like, "Oh, so you got a new car?" I was like, "Okay, yes. You see anybody else approach this vehicle? You know it's not them."
No, that's right.
It ain't theirs. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate that, man. And that is a thing we used to have a lot too, because I think especially before the internet, like instead of scroll your phone, you might sit on your porch. You know, definitely I remember being a kid in the neighborhood and being like, damn, this person gonna tell my parents they see me do some bullshit. Like, hope I can make it home before they pick up the phone.
They can make that phone call and I can explain myself.
Yeah, they don't know I'm not supposed to be over here, you know. Yeah, that definitely feels like a thing. But hopefully I think that might come back. Like Karen, you brought up earlier, you were like black, because you were talking about black community. And I read a book, ironically, about DC called Black Broadway earlier this year. And one of the things about DC that's so interesting is that the reason that it's Chocolate City, which is so interesting because it's actually almost exactly even split between black, white, and then there's other. But we view it as like that's the city where all the black people is, because black people are only supposed to be 13%. But at any rate, one of the reasons they don't have a lot of like government rights, federal, like they haven't been considered like a place where you can vote.
Yeah, they ought
in
to
a
be
federal
the
election.
51st state.
A lot of it's because it was so many black people. And so under different presidential administrations, they've had different levels of pushback, but almost never have they been like, let's make this a state. Let's make this, you know, and the push and even the self-governance of the military being able to intervene and come into their city at any time, or the president be able to take it over. That's 100% because there's so many black people there, and they were just like scared that black people were there. But when they passed, I want to say it's like maybe 1920s or 40s or something, but they had passed this like very strict segregation in like, you know, Jim Crow South and everything. But also DC was experiencing like segregation popped up on them, and all of a sudden these new, with this broad base of black people here, many who had built themselves up from nothing because they had escaped slavery to come there,
right?
And then you start your business, you start, you know, you live, you get your house, you buy your land, you do whatever, right? They had done so much to get there. They had created community. They had created, and because at that time it was like this refuge from the Southern racism, you were able to be like, I have a black bank, but it services white customers, black customers. I have a black grocery store, but everyone could come in.
Right.
Once that segregation came through, it was like 0 white people could do this. And in addition to that, your black ass can't go to this white bank. So like it made community out of survival, meaning there were black people who thought, even back then, individually, I have conquered racism. I own my own bank. I have white and black customers. I'm hobnobbing in the social circles everywhere. I can do what I want to. We are the black rich people. And then bam, segregation. It was like, if you want your bank to survive, you actually have to have black customers. So those black customers you used to frown on and deny, you now have to deal with them. And same thing for the grocery store and all that. So it's ironic. It created community, meaning positive came out of that, where we were like, those people learn like, man, I can only rely on my own people. I got to stop like worshiping at these white people's feet. And black people went like, you know what? I used to think, I don't want a black bank. It's probably going to be bad in there. And it's like, no, they're professional black people that do professional bank work like any other body.
Like anybody else.
And I do wonder if this, even though it's not as blatant like as a, you know, colors only section, but I do wonder if this is going to push us in a way where people rely on each other, and we can kind of break some of that individualization you were talking about that was starting to like creep back. It was, you know?
And the thing is, it erodes the foundation of who we are, and I think people don't really realize that, because black people being brought here against your will, slavery and all that stuff, we had to depend on each other. You know, when we first came here, the tribes, they didn't speak the same languages and all that stuff, but everybody know they was getting their asses whooped. So guess what? We better hold hands and kumbaya and work our way through this if we're going to survive. And I think that part, as people fought and died, the burden has got lighter. And I think as you get generations that are brought up in lighter loads, sometimes they forget what people actually went through to get them to the point where it was easier for them. And I think because a lot of people, they act like, and they like to pretend like Jim Crow and Martin Luther King and MLK and all these things. They try to pretend like these things were hundreds of years ago. They actually what they actually were not.
Right.
And so
Mhm.
because of that, just a lot of the younger generations like to distance themselves, and they try to pretend like these things can't happen again.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
Well, also as they take those lessons out of school and stuff, right? So
that's true too.
you don't even learn what did happen. So you don't
Mhm.
recognize what's happening again. You don't. Some people right now they don't even know this has happened before.
You
You know
know,
what I
you
mean?
know, and that's true. And something, and me and you had talked about this a while ago, and it made me change my philosophy on how I thought. I used to really beat myself up for my lack of knowledge about African American history and Black history, but I had to realize the way I was raised and me going through the school system, there was some things that weren't taught because Roger was like in the AP classes, so he was taught like Tulsa, and not trying to find.
Well, no. They didn't teach that in them classes. That's not where I
Okay.
learned that. I learned that from my parents. My
Oh,
parents would give me
okay.
Yeah.
books. Shit.
Okay.
Home.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you like to some extent that's the thing. We already know what we need to do as people. Like, um, even though it sucks that they're trying to erase this history literally out of curriculums, and keep your kid from learning it. The truth is they were always doing that. Like
That's true
Yeah.
too.
they were
Yeah.
always being like, listen, you got 1 month of black people. Here are the acceptable people you can write a report about. But a lot of stuff that I learned was my parents buying before the Mayflower. What color was
Right.
Jesus? Alex Haley
Right. And so
groups.
your parents were very adamant and
Yeah.
they were like, you will not lose this history. But it's
Mhm.
when you have people who are even afraid to talk about slavery and they're black and they every time anything comes up, they panic
Yeah.
and they freak because you're going to make their kids feel bad. It's very
Mm.
hard to get that generation of people to teach their children something because the thing
Well,
is,
how,
I'm a victim. Why am I afraid? Why am I ashamed? I was a victim.
Cassandra, how do you
Mhm.
balance that? Being a mother yourself of a young child. Like, how do you balance when you bring those lessons in for a kid? Because I can
Right.
imagine that's a struggle as a parent. Because like, it's
Mhm.
like, hey, so the tooth fairy's not real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Right.
mean, that's how it is in my house. I have two. My oldest is 10. He'll be 11 in November. And he's very observant and just so he's always
Mhm.
asking questions, which is great, but also it means that I need to always like be looking up, going back to the history and all things like that. I'll actually say this before I answer that question. A couple of weeks ago, right before school started, he was just like, "Why do we need history anyway? History is such a waste of time." I said, "Hold on, we were in the grocery store." I said, "Absolutely not." He stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, "History is so important. It's all important, but especially history, especially as Black folk in this country, we need to know what all led up to us being here in the conditions that we're in, good and bad, right? Because it can always repeat itself,
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of things right now that's showing that it's repeating itself.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
we need to know so we can identify when, oh, this has happened before. And how do we resist? How do we overcome? Like you gotta
Right.
know. And also when it comes to like learning about slavery and things like that, I I I'm super like in this house.
Mm.
And sometimes I feel like, oh, did I do too much? Did I say too much? But I know that they are going so hard in other households saying the opposite that
Right.
I need to go
And they
hard
are
too. So that way,
relentless about it. They are
okay,
relentless. And people
yes,
talk about as older people die, it's gonna go away. We see it's not. So that
Right.
means
nope,
they are teaching their children this
yes,
subconsciously, consciously, and downright flat telling them. So
Right.
why
yes,
can't we be as adamant as they are? And so
exactly.
the thing about your baby is like for me, to an extent, I was similar to your baby. I was like, this shit is boring. The fuck y'all talking about? I don't care nothing about these white folks and in these wigs and shit. So for me, I tapped out of history because I was like, hey, y'all ain't talking about nothing because they weren't talking about me. Not trying to be funny. Like I was stripped from
Mm,
it. So why y'all got me caring about these white people finding about some land over in the French somewhere,
mhm,
revolutionary? I don't care nothing about none of this. And so for me, I understand your baby's perspective. Like you have to
mhm,
teach children that we have always been here and we are a part of it. And actually,
yeah,
we you should be invested because we are invested. Because
yes,
as an adult, I felt bad, but also you don't know what you know until you know. So a
yeah.
lot of things I learned as an adult, and I kind of felt bad. Like I said, my perspective had changed, but Roger, like I said, had all this knowledge, and I'm like, well, then why don't I know? But I didn't know because
Well,
I didn't know.
also, like, we're adults now.
Right.
You can know if you
Mm-hmm.
would like to
Mhm,
know. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like pick up that book, read that thing. It's all this information is out there. You're gonna learn some stuff. I'm still constantly learning. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's how wild racism and oppression is that
yeah,
I've read so many things, and there's still times like something blows my mind.
yeah,
Like once
yeah.
again, reading that book about DC, there was like a section. I think I read it on the show, but of the unspoken like rules that I hadn't even known some of those. I had assumed some, but it was like it was crazy shit. Like if you come to a 4-way intersection stop, we all got cars. At that time, white people go first, regardless of the fucking rules of the road, which is crazy because
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely gonna lead to wrecks and or like something
Mm-hmm.
bad happened because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody was
Mhm.
like, "I'm white, doing 80, going through the street."
Going through the intersection.
And blacks, you guys better watch out. You guys know it's my turn all the time. It's
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that where
Yeah.
if you address a white man or a woman as Mr. or Mrs., if they address you, you could be a fucking doctor.
Mhm.
They don't even have to say your first
Boy,
name.
right.
Right.
Mhm.
So like
Mhm.
stuff like that definitely is stuff I'm still learning. And so like now that we're adults, it's like go read that book, pass that knowledge on, or at least know because we always talk about history repeating itself. And a lot of times we talk about it in the bad way, right? We're like
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, history
Mhm.
repeating itself. But also resistance is history repeating itself.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
And a lot of
Mhm.
times the keys to making it through are we already know them. They're in the books. Like
Mm-hmm.
how did black people make it through
Mhm.
DC going through oppressions, government suppression, not having the right to vote,
Mhm.
economics, riots, all kinds of shit. Even
Mhm.
like I said, it's very ironic. I read the book this year. Like I will say that because even them putting the National Guard in DC, that's not new.
No.
That's not a new thing. Like they've
Mhm.
done that before. They've deployed the military on DC before. Like it's just stuff and not that it's not that I'm accepting of these things, but it's just like a level of preparedness because you're like they did this before. Okay, I see
Right.
they're already planting
Not new.
the seeds for how they're gonna do this.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Speaking of planting the seeds on how to do things, what topics are you looking forward to diving into
Mhm.
upcoming on your show?
Right now, because things are the way that they are, and a lot of people are going through it, we're talking a lot about joy, how to cultivate that joy within us. What I'm really excited about towards the end of the year, I'm speaking to people who have either written about food and how our legacy is passed down through our food and things. I love to eat. So hearing the stories about,
Man,
people that I just didn't know or how certain dishes came to be, um, yeah, as well, I'll be talking about. So towards the end of the year, especially as we go into like Thanksgiving and Christmas and things, we'll talk a lot about food. And then just different joy practices too, because typically whenever we think about wellness, we think about like, like the vacation, the mani-pedi, things that
right.
cost, right? And like we're looking for the joy outside of us, but we're really talking about how do we cultivate that joy within us,
Yes.
without having to necessarily spend anything. And how do
Right.
we every single day do something that sparks a little bit of joy, even though things
Man,
might be difficult and challenging and different than what we expected, what we planned for. How do we have one thing that we could either look forward to or just bring joy to ourselves and the people around us? So lots to
yes.
talk about joy. And I'm a reader, so we'll be talking a lot about books. I typically read like self-help, but I've put that down. All year I've been going deep into my like romance and historical fiction
Mm,
books. So just to bring some levity to my life. And I feel like I'm my listener and I know they need some levity too. So we talking to like different authors and things like that. So
I love that,
go ahead.
especially about the joyful practices that don't cost a lot because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. And I like, man, I would have 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would not believe the person I am today because I go outside and go on I walk for an hour or so, pretty
Mhm.
much like 2 to 4 times a week, and that shit is. I mean, it seemed like it's basic. It
Just being
really,
outside.
it
Yep.
really don't seem like
That's good.
it would be what is everything they say it is. It really
Mm-hmm.
does. It's done wonders for my mental health. It's done
Yeah.
obviously wonders for my health.
Yep.
Um, and it's not even like I'm not out there running. Like it's not even like some like this exercise, but the point of the exercise is more like do something for an hour, get your heart rate up. But like literally sitting in the park for like 10 minutes and just looking at birds and turtles and stuff, like it's real. Walking through the woods, like I would not have thought I was that person even 2-3 years ago, but now it's like I'll get antsy if I don't do it. Like if I've taken my ass out in the rain before. You gotta do something.
I love it. I love it.
Let me throw on this poncho and get these miles in. But it's crazy because it's something so basic, but it does. Even I was reading like I said, the book Digital Madness. Even 10 minutes outside does wonder for people with mental health. You can just get 10 minutes a day. It's not even this exercise. You could go 10 minutes, sit on a park bench, read a book, but that does something mentally for stuff like depression, anxiety.
That you're not shut inside.
It's real.
It boosts like our neurotransmitters, like literally like serotonin, dopamine, just seeing nature and getting that fresh air, like the greens, the blues, the colors of the flowers, like literally makes us produce hormones that make us feel a little bit better. So not to be all religious, but like God knew what he was doing, like when they create all these things, so for sure.
It's 100% like, and these are basic things. It don't cost you nothing. You know what I mean? Go into space, see some other people do shit, like life is life. That the thing that this glass box or whatever is not the be all end all to life or whatever. And I think when I talk about like how I've been looking at the world differently the last few years, I think that's a big part of it is seeing what's happening in my phone as a thing that's just happening in my phone.
Yes.
Meaning, so like while it is important you stay informed, and I do stay informed. I mean, that's what we do our show for. But there's a level of like, okay, so I don't know, Young Thug is going through it right now. It's very entertaining. Okay, I've seen the leaks. Whoever's leaking this, you guys are the feds. Y'all are in your bag. The feds are in their bag with these leaks because I don't know who planned it out. The drops.
Who planned out the mixtape drops?
I mean, it's crazy right now. The man just did a podcast last night. I didn't watch it, but I was like, damn, they got this man to go in a podcast studio to explain himself. Them leaks were so good, but. And while it's current, but at some point it's also like just a thing that's happening somewhere. It's not really affecting my life. Like, I don't want to let it preoccupy too much. And it also, I'm using something trivial, but sometimes it's even serious shit where like, and like I say, it makes me see things differently. Like I was talking to Randolph yesterday about the Tabitha Brown thing, and I was like, yeah, I just chose to be like graceful for everybody involved. Like people that got mad, I get it. Her saying it, I get why she would say it. It sounded like if she was talking to me in my house, I wouldn't have got mad. I would be like, yeah, I've been through that. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I'm not a failure, Tabitha. I'm gonna keep grinding even if I gotta get a job. I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
But also, if people want to be mad, that's what they want. That's what they gonna do. And I'm still gonna go outside, experience that real sunshine, smell the turtles and the birds, and go on my walk. And then that's the thing I control. You know, I'll go to the gym, lift those weights. I can control that. You know, how my body reacts to that. I did something productive that helped me 0.01% more that day. That there's something about that has added levity to a lot of my life, to where because I used to spiral out online. I used to heavily be whatever's happening over here this is happening to me too, as opposed to be like, listen, that whatever I just witnessed, that sucks, but it's also like I have other things in life I have to pay attention to as well in order to find that joy and that positivity and that happiness.
Yeah, and also I think for me, as I've gotten older and as time went on and as the internets, and sometimes you have to do a personal inventory and be like, hey, what's important to me and what's not important to me. And sometimes, y'all, I don't care what the fuck y'all talking about. I just don't care. And me not caring doesn't mean that these things don't impact me. It means that I'm not willing to put the level of effort to get to anger that you guys are, because I realize I cannot be angry all the time.
Nope.
And I think that some people, they are addicted. And I've come to this, when I came to this conclusion, it made people's behavior make more sense. You're addicted. You are always in control over the things that you do. And so you are in control over these fluctuation of emotions. You are in control every time you hit that app. You are always in control when you get off. Like you actually are making these decisions. And so in my mind, I was like, why don't they just get off? Then I'm like, oh, it's an addiction, like drugs, alcohol, sugar, these things. So when it's
designed to be addictive.
Yes. And so when it's an addiction, it's very hard to tell somebody to stop their addiction. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, they're going to have to go through and navigate this until they get to the point that they've had enough. So I can't convince you otherwise.
Everybody burns out at different times when they do. Like I think I'm a little more graceful about people on the internet in general, because I've been there, and I just feel like everyone, it's not their fault. It's like smoking cigarettes. Like it's not. The people that created the platform don't care about us.
Right.
They just see us as like things they can use.
Yep.
And so the arc is that it will burn you out. The more you're on it, it will burn you out. Everyone's on the same arc. Different people at different points. People at the beginning are like, no, it's great out here, man. This is awesome. And then people at the end are just like, those veterans that are just like, let me tell you something, kid. The internet wars of 2019 was,
They start showing you scars.
Yeah. So everyone's on different paths.
Right.
And much like anything, like say alcohol or something, you got to find your balance of what's healthy for you. Some people are zero. Like, don't give me a sip of anything. And some people are out here drunk and just drive. It's different for everybody at different points. So I think that's how, you have to choose how to navigate it.
And somebody in the comments said they started scrolling past and filtered words because of this reason. That like you have to tailor. If you must be on the internet, like not interested, block, filter, like take some ownership. And I had to do that. Like if I see too much like that man's face on my feed, no, blocking whoever's posting that. Like no, I don't want to see that.
Too. Yeah.
The way my social media is curated down to the ground, it may have aired on the side of sometimes I miss stuff that people are just sending me because they're nice or whatever. And I hate that I miss that. But also, I got to take that balance every time. I'd rather not see enough than see too much, because seeing too much is driving me crazy. And and unfortunately, the people that made it, they are tailoring it to overdose you. They're not trying to give you a little bit, So if I log on right now, I'm sure I'll see whatever it is. I'll see a bunch of it, is my point. Like, so like I don't know how it decides, by the way.
Nope.
I don't know how it decides.
I think the amount of time you are on the post, it tells the algorithm you like this. So you get more of it.
So even if I'm not even liking it, they know I stopped to be like angry.
Okay, that you froze. So they probably counting how long you looked at it. Yeah.
Like this is not shade. This is not shade. I know this person also at iHeart, but this is not shade. I have never watched a second of or listened to the Joe Budden podcast. I do love hip hop though.
Back in the day, I did like maybe 2016, 2017. Loved it. Now,
literally not a second. It's not like a personal boycott or anything. I don't have no problems with. It's just not for me, right?
Right, not for me.
The way Twitter has decided I'm the number one fan, it's crazy. It's crazy. I be like not interested, man. They be like, "Oh, you ain't gonna believe what."
Are you sure?
I've never watched it. I know the people name on the show.
I do too,
because of Twitter. Twitter be like, "You gonna watch this." And I'll be like, I refuse. Not interested. Scrolling past, they be like, if you even stop to say not interested, you interested. Deep down.
We know people be lying.
I have a question for y'all. Like, do you feel? Sometimes I get frustrated because I feel like what really pops is inflammatory, right?
Yes.
Like people love mess.
Yes.
Do you ever get frustrated that like people love mess and you're not in the business of mess?
I know. Yeah. Nah, we never gonna blow up the way we could blow up. And I just accepted that a long time ago, because it's like I refuse. I for my own mental health, I can't be in the eye of a mess storm all day. Some people got it. I don't know how they got
type of personality.
I don't know how they got it, but they got it. You know what I mean? Where it's just like every day, like and I'm not even, like I said, I'm not even calling them bad people. I think that's one of the things that makes people be able to be very successful at the internet that I don't have.
Right.
Like, even like Tabitha Brown's ability to be in the center of a storm and be like, I still know who I am. I'm a good person. I'm just trying to help.
I'll see about her life.
I'll see y'all tomorrow. I don't got it. Like, if everybody was like motherfucking me tonight on the internet, I'd be like, oh, what? I was just trying to help. Like, I would be out. Y'all was the way I would have spiraled out if I was if everybody, you hate black women, you told us to get jobs. No, I didn't. That's not what I meant. Please stop. Oh, he mad now. You know, like I don't got it. So I've accepted that, like, our lot in life is that we're self-sustained podcast. This is perfectly fine with me. And if it's never the number one show on Apple, you just got to be happy, because what's for other people isn't always for you. True. And if you only look at the ups, you'll never look at the downs, because we don't really share the downs normally. Like, people share the ups, right? Hey, just made this much money, this many views, this many things. But they not sharing, like, man, I couldn't sleep last night. I had so much anxiety off of some of the comments, or, oh man, what am I gonna do? I gotta come up with a new video tomorrow. I'm stressing out. I've decided to have a life where I sleep at night and feel peaceful, and these are the things that work for me. So I think that's the trade-off you have to look at. Yep. Once again, in the book Digital Madness, they talk about this phenomenon of and it's real, but people look at other people on the internet all the time sharing their ups, and it makes you feel bad about yourself. Sure. We often talk about teenagers.
Yes, they're very impacted by that.
But I was reading the book where it made me think teenagers is just a concept for us to talk about how it does us too. Because we'll be like, man, these teen girls, they see these things and it makes them like harm themselves. It makes them feel bad about their bodies. And I'm like, yeah, but if a 16-year-old smokes a cigarette or a 30-year-old smokes a cigarette, cigarettes still do cigarette things to your body. So it's happening to us. Maybe we're a little stronger. We're a little more grounded and rooted in who we are. But whatever is happening to them kids, that's the canary in the coal mine for us. So, like, if it makes a 15-year-old girl feel bad that Beyonce posted a picture and she looks great, then it does something subconsciously to me too. I also feel that even if I don't may not be as affected as they are, there's part of me that's like that. And you'll hear people express this other ways where it'll be like, man, I log on to Instagram and everybody's posting their wedding photos and I'm like, damn, it's affecting you, because it's supposed to be, I'm happy. Oh, your wedding anniversary, congrats. But instead, there's a little part that's coming back at you, like, why you ain't got no woman? Oh, right. And so that is a real constant thing that's happening to all of us. Is kind of sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think for me, to go back to the question that you asked, I know that I'm not built for that because of my personality and who I am. I think that for me, I would probably I would crash out in a different way, or I'll probably just sit here and have Roger probably just hear me rant, because that's the thing. It's not that I don't have all these big feelings and all these emotions and all these things. I just don't go on the internet with it. Like the things that irritate me and make me mad and make me upset, I want to call somebody stupid, I just turn to my left and look at Roger and just tell him how I feel, and then I'm fine with my life and I go on about my business. I just don't put those things online, and like I say, people think just because you're not on there that you're not impacted by it, or just because you don't post as much you don't see things, and I do. And so for me, I'm like, And the question that you had about the audience, this is what I realized: everybody not gonna like you. So regardless of what you do or how big you are gonna have a subsection of people that's just not gonna like the fact that you exist and you doing whatever it is you're doing. For their own personal reasons, be it they don't like you because you're always happy, they don't like you because you're pretty, or they think that you think you are that. Whatever the reason is, they have their own personal glitches that they're gonna project on you. And because of that, what I've realized is I know I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay not being for everybody. And what people don't, the down part of people don't tell you, when you go catch everybody, you getting everybody, which means you getting the crazies, you getting the lunatics, You getting the
Yeah.
haters. Like they don't tell you that part of actually fishing for everybody. You literally are bringing the good and the bad into your circles. And so for me, if you don't want to be here, you ain't got to be here. It's no obligation. We are not a cult. And so in my mind, I'm like, hey, dog, get off the hook, go on about your business, live your life. No, and I'm serious. No hard feelings either way, because I am also a podcast listener. So it's podcasts that I've dropped off, came back, went back and forth, been all over the place with. So I'm not an exception to the rule. Like I don't feel no obligation to hold on to you forever.
Cassandra, what about you? Like, are you looking around at, even though, it's a Be Well Sis, a health and wellness podcast, are you looking around at the podcast landscape, seeing the clips that go viral and being like, man, maybe I should be doing that, or like,
Yeah, I think especially in the health and wellness space, like there's we see a lot of pseudoscience, anti-science, and that shit pops.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is not okay. And I'm like, oh man. And yeah. I'm right now, I like in this season in my podcasting journey, like I'm like very frustrated. But you know what? You just really gave me a word, Karen, because like I am also a listener. Like, so I know I like drop off and I come back. Maybe I don't come back to some podcasts. And it's not that nothing personal against the podcast host or whatever. Yeah, it just doesn't apply anymore, right? And then also, yeah, you're right. Like when you invite everybody or when everybody comes, you're getting truly everybody.
Yes. Now I always say that about our show. People would be like, I'll do like a guest appearance on someone's show or something. They're like, oh yeah, so what are you guys trying to do to like blow up? How many done? And I'm like, I don't want all the listeners. I just like the cool ones. So like, if I come do your show and you got 50,000 listeners, but in my mind you got like 200 ones that would like mess with us, that would get our vibe, I'll take the 200. I don't need the 50,000. Like, some like especially with pop culture, politics, and comedy and stuff. You look at what's at the top of the list: Joe Rogan. I don't. Adam Carolla, people, would you go on their show? And I'm like, I could go, but let me tell you what, it's not going to help as much as I go on a show that's similar to ours.
Agreed.
Because a show that's similar to ours, maybe 90% of those people hear it and go, ooh, I'm gonna check that out. Like if I'm on Kev on Stage's podcast, much more of his audience will cross over to like, oh, look at this black couple that is being funny.
Yep.
I go on Adam Carolla's show, the ones that come might be like, burn it down.
all of a sudden the chat room is lit and they arguing with each other. You never know.
We found them. That's what they've been hiding. So like, I don't like all attention is not good attention. And
when I think it was 2021 or 2022, I was new and noteworthy, but like the second placement. So you're on like right there. My ratings went down so bad. I'm just like, oh, they found me. My husband's just like, babe, it's not you. Like,
right?
Found you.
Yeah, they come and they'll start posting and leaving comments.
And leaving 1-star reviews. I'm like, what happened, Lord?
Because they angry about nothing now.
Yes,
like
nothing.
We don't even have to be involved in the angry. Look at the Cracker Barrel thing. Black people wasn't even involved in the Cracker Barrel thing. That was a whole news cycle of just white people, white on white violence.
Yes, we had nothing to do with that.
Black people didn't care about that sign. We didn't care about that man. We didn't care about the new logo, the old logo.
Either we was eating Cracker Barrel or we wouldn't.
Yeah, either you in there for breakfast or you not in there for breakfast. But you ain't thought about it.
No.
You wasn't like, it's not like black people was walking past that sign like, I guess I'll eat here anyway. Like, so I don't, but like that tells you that there's a hole in these people that is missing something that is making them attack things. So yeah, it's funny, new and noteworthy. All this is doing is trying to introduce y'all to some new podcasts, some new things you may or may not heard of it. Hey, click on this, check it out. To see that and go, I gotta go give her a bad rating. It's like she's trying to help black women. Not on my watch. That's insane.
Yes,
there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can control about that. And you definitely don't want to internalize that because I've listened to the show a few times at this point, and you're doing good work. You're trying to spread positivity and joy. You're out here being a support system for other black women at a time where black women definitely gonna need it after this shit.
Ain't that the truth?
And so, like,
all we got.
Yeah, you got to stay on mission and stay on message without, seeking that not that validation and affirmation isn't good, but like sometimes if we become too beholden to external validation and affirmation, it can turn. That's what I've really experienced with the internet, especially thinking about like we talk pop culture here a lot. So we talk about like Cardi B, we talk about Lizzo, we talk about all kinds of, especially a lot of black women, right? Megan Thee Stallion. And one of the problems with like the external internet validation is that it is so flimsy. Like it'll flip.
Yes.
And in a way that
take a lot.
In a way that a real person wouldn't do. Right.
Agreed.
So like if you came on here and we disagreed about something, we're not gonna hop off here and be like, Cassandra's never coming back. Okay, she said one thing. Now, nine out of 10 things she said, we was like, agree. But then she said one thing, and on that one thing, she's dead to me. But the internet does that a lot because we're not really seeing each other as human. We're seeing each other as content. So it's like turning the channel, right? It's I don't want to be on the Cardi B channel anymore. She said a thing I don't like. She's done. And I think the other side of that, having it happen to you or seeing that it could be a possibility of a thing that can happen, it can have an effect on your mental health and affect your mission and be, like you said, you're looking at your ratings, we're looking at our followers, we're looking at our reviews, we're looking at so much stuff that's constantly giving us this loop of like pass, fail, good, bad. Oh, the thing you said today, you shouldn't have said that thing today. Oh, the thing you didn't say yesterday, you should have said it. That type of thing. And I think it does have a real effect. But knowing yourself and your own values is pretty much the only thing I think that can get you through that. Because, sometimes you just gotta be like, I know what I'm doing isn't hurting people, or I know I'm trying to help, and I know these people over here that do know me, they would check me because I keep them kind of people in my circle that if I was out here fucking up, there's a bunch of people that would tug my coat before the internet get to it to be like, hey, player, what's
you right? You okay?
You all right?
How do you feel about, because there's two sides of the internet. There's the people that are on the internet, they kind of just do their thing and they just kind of out there and they just say stuff and attack people and don't think of it and don't have any compassion or anything. But with you being like on the side of like that noteworthy thing, how has your perspective changed? Because a lot of people, they will never be noteworthy of anything on the internet. So they will never understand what it's like to have somebody come and just critique you for no reason other than you just existing. How has that changed your perspective on how you interact with the internet? Because for some people, I've seen it in real time. I've seen people who would just go out and just do things and would just, they would want to be somewhere and they would do things to get on these platforms. Then when they got there, all of a sudden they were the one getting critiqued. So all of a sudden their perspective changed, because once you are on the other side and people are actually looking and watching and paying you attention, your perspective changed. So how has your perspective changed?
I feel like I have always been, I'm like super sensitive, like to a fault sometimes. So I remember like years ago, like during like the early days of Instagram, and I would go like on a celebrity's page and I would look at the comments. I'm like, oh my God, people are so vile. So like because I will see how I'm like, there's somebody on the other side of this, like that star, like J-Lo, whoever, they're a person. If they're reading these comments, like that's so hurtful. So I've never been a person to like necessarily critique in public. Like I may be like, oh, that was trash to my husband. Be like, yo, did you see that? That was trash. I'll never like type it like for the person to possibly see why, And then especially now, even now, my conversations with like the people in my life, if I see somebody trying something new, trying something different, I'm not going to have much of anything to say unless it's positive. I may think, oh, it's not quite there yet, but I'm not going to share that with anybody verbally, because we all out here trying something. And I think it takes courage to try something.
I do too.
Yeah, we're emotional bumper cars. We're just bumping off each other at the theme park, causing all kinds of repercussions. So you got to be careful and mindful of that, because we all have a story. Every single one of us existing right now has a story of somebody that said something to us that didn't mean that much to them, but meant a lot to us, good or bad. And that is a constant thing you got to be aware of, because you just really never know. We've had people that come up to us that And I mean, and it's not even a bad thing, but they'll be like, "This thing you said, man, it changed my life, man. You said it," and they really be something where I'll be like, "I don't even remember that shit." Like, so it happens the bad way too. Like, you just got to be careful out here. Man, listen, this has been fun. I feel like we kept you over the amount of time we said,
did, baby.
But it was a good conversation. Tell the people where to find you and how to support Be Well, sis.
Yes. So my podcast is called Be Well. This is found on every streaming platform. I also have a YouTube channel where I post like the video episodes. It's still relatively new. I'm trying to get to my first 1,000 subscribers. So if you can go ahead and subscribe over on YouTube as well as all the other places, I'd appreciate it. And I'm on Instagram. So on Instagram, I'm at BeWellSis_podcast. And I'm also on Threads, but on Threads, I'm literally just, if I think it, I post it, and it's really usually nothing. Like, I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I was like posting about the price of butter. So like, ain't nothing really over there. But yeah.
That's relatable. I do the same thing. I don't have a digital strategy. I just be out here saying stuff. I'm like, man, y'all ever think about blank? And then it's be like, either everybody goes no or whatever. And then half the time, what goes viral and stuff, there's no way to know anyway.
I know. You
Truly.
never know. It's
Truly.
That's some algorithm can't figure out.
No, it's truly innocuous stuff that is just like, hey man, did you know they done posted you on Reddit under Black people Twitter? I'm like,
I didn't know it was Black people.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I was just talking about
Reddit. My bad.
I was just talking about the last name of the woman that sued Shannon Sharp being Sue nigga and being like that.
Wait, what's her last name?
Zoo nigga. Zuniga. But I was like, that was a clue. Should have known he was gonna lose everything. Okay,
absolutely. I'm finished.
You gotta pay attention. And now,
hilarious.
Yeah, and I said that as a joke.
Ask people their whole names.
And now it's got that one got 303,000 views right now. Meanwhile, if I said something that I thought was profound, it'd be like 6 people that care. So I don't know.
You get 6 hearts.
That's why you can't look for external validation. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go outside and get in the sunshine or the rain, whatever, and get my steps in today. Thanks for being here, Cassandra.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, baby.
Yeah, thanks, listeners. Make sure y'all go out and check out Be Well, sis. And we'll be back throughout the week. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Bye, everybody. Bye.